What I'm about to cover in this video is really important. It's probably more important than everything you've seen in school. Except for the rule of 3. I use this stuff all the time, but as a matter of fact, I will trade my whole high school for the knowledge that I will give in this video. Plus a bag of cashews. Unsolved, obviously. Credit score. A lot of people mess this up, but you will not mess this up. You're watching this channel, you're getting knowledge. That's wise. And the younger you are, the more I envy you, because this will have a huge impact on how you will grow wealth in the future. See, I did not start digging into credit before I was like 27 or 28. But lucky for me, I never went on a rampage mode with my credit cards where I would screw my credit score. But it could have happened because when I was 18 to 25, I was not structured like a growing wealth champion. I had leaks, but I did this one thing with credit at this time that made my credit score very good, and later in this video I'm gonna explain why. But what I did is that I opened a credit card once and I basically never use it, and it's not the best thing to do, but it's better than not have one a lot. And the reason why I did this is basically because I was paying everything cash at this moment, and that's not the best way to roll. But let's start digging into what is this credit score and how does this thing works. So there are 3 credit bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And these bureaus, they build a credit report and a credit score to picture your habits with credit. And this picture will then be used back by the lenders and the landlords, and it will show them if it's risky or not to loan to you. And based on this, you might have higher interest rates on your loans, or you might just not get it at all. Obviously, their decision is not based 100% on your credit report or credit score, but hey, sometimes yes. Now, what's next is really important. My accent feels weird when I say important, doesn't it? But what's important is that where do these bureaus get the data to build this report? And yes, it's from the lenders. What you have to understand here is that not every lenders will report to these 3 bureaus. Some will only report to 1, and some will report to those 3, and some will not report anything. But what this means is 2 things. And the first is that your report will be different from one bureau to another. And the second is that there might be some errors on your credit report. And I will leave the advanced stuff for another video, but this leads to tip number 1. And tip number 1 is you should clean your credit report. You can order it online on their website, and you go through all the information. Your personal information might have some errors, and your accounts might be wrong. So maybe there's some accounts there that still appears like they're active or unpaid, but you've already paid or closed these accounts. That could be the reason why your credit score is low. And I mean, if that's the case, you really want to catch this up as quickly as possible, because that's an easy fix to your credit score. So if you've never done this before, you have to go through this at least once. Me personally, I go through this every year, but also you could just do it like a couple of months before you go ask for credit. All right, so guys, you see, this is a big victory for me right now, because I'm now standing. Yes, I just made my standing desk setup for the camera, so I'm pretty happy. Actually, I think I will show you. Yes, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you my new setup right now. That's happening. All right, guys, look at this. And tell me this is not the dream. I got the stand desk over there, and I got this bad boy here for my sitting station. You see, I think posture and mobility are two key pieces to have a good quality of life, and your setup should aim to enhance those property of your body. So, all right, enough with this. All right, let's get back to the reason you're here right now. Credit score. The algorithm stands on 5 points, and the first one is on-time payment history. This is pretty simple. All you have to do is always pay your statement on time. And to get all the points here, all you have to do is to pay the minimum that is due on each statement. Every time you make a payment, this will appear on your credit reports. And this is important because the bankers, they're going to look for this on your credit report. They're gonna know who you are exactly. No, just if you pay on time. But hey, that's pretty important. So every time you make a payment, this payment is marked as R1 if it was made on time, R2 if it was 30 days late and more, 60 days late and more, it's gonna be R3, and the list goes on down to R9, which can also be referred to as the zone where your stuff is broken. The way that this is calculated is your total on-time payments will be divided by your total payments. So the more payments you have on your account, the less it will impact your on-time payment history. And the only way that you can have more payments on your credit report is actually time and the number of accounts that you have. So basically, if you have 3 credit cards instead of 1, well, each month you're going to have 3 bills instead of 1. It's gonna make less damage if you miss 1 payment out of 3 than if you miss 1 out of 1, which would be 100% of your monthly payments. Pretty simple. All right, so that's it for the first point. And this one, on-time payment history, this weighed for 35% of your whole credit score, which is kind of a big deal. And these are easy points too. Now, the second one is something that a lot of people mess up, and this is credit utilization ratio. And here, what the credit bureaus want to see is that you're not out there maxing out every credit cards or every credit products that you get your hands on. Now, instead, what they want to see is how responsible you are. Hey, look at this guy. He could spend 40 grand and he only spent 1. We can trust this guy. We can lend him money. And he's not going to go crazy on Amazon when he received that credit cards. Now, let's look at how this works. And it's pretty easy. So the balance that you carry every month divided by the total limits of your credit cards and credit lines, that will be your ratio. So the higher your limits are, the lower the same balance will affect your credit score. Let's say you have a credit card, just one, and it has a limit of 2 grand, and you'd spend 1 grand on it. Now, you receive this statement of 1 grand. If you would pay it on time, fully, then your utilization ratio would be 0 because it's not carried as a balance. But let's say you don't pay anything on the statement, and you carried 1 grand out of 2 over the next month. Now your utilization ratio would be at 50% because you're using 1 out of 2 grand. If your limit would be 10 grand instead of 2, your utilization ratio would now be 10% because you're using 1 grand out of 10. So the effect will be lower on your credit score. How many times have I heard, oh, I'm just going to open this credit card to make this purchase for my travel, and then I'm gonna close it because I don't want to be tempted by money that I don't have. Or, oh, I'm just going to ask my limits to be decreased because higher limits is just too tempting for me to spend money that I don't have. I don't need to have access to that much money. And I understand not everyone has this knowledge about credit. And even sometimes your banker could induce you into some mistakes. And what is wrong here is their conception of credit cards. It's not new money. It doesn't affect your budget. It's not something that you now have access that you did not before. The way that this should be seen is that it's a tool of payments with a 30 days delay, and only that, not new accessible funds. Now, obviously, there are some strategies with low interest for a certain period, or there's some strategies with credit cards, but I'm just telling the basic here. Now, in a blast, what can be done here? Get more credit cards and more credit lines. Get higher limits. Pay off your balance and spend less. That would be 4, not 5. Because I made a 5. And you have to match this to your home position, obviously. Now, that being said, utilization ratio wait for 30% of your whole credit score. And you should aim to always stay under 30% of utilization. Obviously here, the lower the better. It depends on how's your credit right now. You could have a strategy where you want to stay lower, under 10. But just keep in mind where you are right now with your score and utilization ratio and where you want to go. Now, next one, and this is the one that got me on the road when I was younger. This is the one that made my credit score pretty good. Now that's credit length history. And this is also the one that I screwed up big time, maybe like 7 years later. But basically what this is the longer you hold your credit accounts for, the more points you will have here. So the best play would be to open credit accounts without annual fees because you want to hold them forever. And you just hold them forever. So remember that credit card that I opened at 18. Yeah, that one. It got me to a credit score of 800. But then, maybe like 4 years ago, I closed it. But why? What a big mistake. So you see, this got me through the crazy years where I would not care about anything that was not a party. And I woke up from these years with a credit score of 800 because, you see, the on-time payment history was just fine. I did not use the card. It's not the best thing to do, but it's still better than screw it up. And the utilization ratio was also fine because I did not use it. And the account length history was good because I hold the card for many years. And keep in mind that this is an average length of every credit account that you have. So I'm not telling you that you should not go out and open new credit accounts, but hopefully you might have a different look at that whole credit card that you left in the drawer with those socks and you thought you would cancel someday because you don't like the reward programs about it. And maybe you will see it like it's gold for your credit report. Now that average length history, that weight for 15% of your whole credit score. All right, so we're now at point 4 here. And this one, that's the total number of accounts that you have. And the purpose of this one is to show the bureaus that you are that level 99 master of credit and you understand the multiple product of credit and that you know how to use them and that you use them well. Now here, to get the points, your credit report must show an history of a good variety of credit products. So the bureaus want to see here that you've dealt with mortgage, with credit lines, with car loan, or a good variety of products. Credit cards, obviously, but you have to show a variety of product and that you've been a good user over those products. And now that would be another reason to have multiple credit accounts. So first of all, you will build your on-time payment history faster. Your utilization ratio will be lower and you will build that nice diversity of credit products. That's what you have to, that's the goal that you should aim for. And you might come to a point where you have this plan in your head and you always know what's going to be the next product and when you're gonna get it and what's gonna be the second one and the third one. This one weight for 10% of your whole credit score. All right, now for the last, the 5th one. And that's the total hard inquiries on your account. And hard inquiries are a hit that happens to your account when you go apply for a new credit product. And you might think that it's weird that the credit bureaus will grant you points for having multiple credit products, a good variety and a good number of products, and then they will damage your score when you go apply for a new one. And the reason is simple. So you see, every point that I've covered yet, they help picture how you act with credit based on your past since the very beginning of your credit journey. But this one, this last one, It's more like it shows your current situation. If you would have a lot of hard inquiries over a short amount of time, this could show the bureaus that you are in a rough situation right now, that something happened to you that puts you in a situation where you need money, and that puts you on a riskier profile for the lenders. And these wait for 10% of your whole credit score. Hard inquiries are not a big deal. You should not worry about this. This should not stop you from opening new credit accounts, but it should lead the way that you do it. Because hard inquiries, something that's interesting is, first, they last for 2 years on your credit report, and they will impact your score for 1 year. And one more thing that is really interesting about them is that they can group together. So because they don't want you to get penalized for shopping for rates or different loans, the algorithm will adjust like you did not open every account that you were looking into, but you were just applying and opened only one account. And this is another reason why you should always have a plan with your credit, a short-term plan and a long-term plan. And in this plan, you have to always be aware of the position that you are right now. What's your utilization ratio right now? What is your credit score? Are you going for a key piece like a mortgage or a very important credit line? Because if that's the case, then you should not make hard inquiries like months before you apply for those. Alright guys, so that will be it for this one. I hope you liked this, and if you did, you can reward me with the sacred reward that you can give for free to a YouTuber, and it's just to hit the like button down there. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, well, I'm just starting out, so it's gonna get better and better, and there's gonna be some special effect and some plot twist, and I'm gonna show you my wins and failures, and wow, it's gonna be awesome. Alright, so I'm shutting this down, and I will see you in the next one.